Hi guys, welcome to Learn with W3Schools, and today we are continuing from our previous sessions of loops. We discussed while loop. Today we're going to talk about for loop. What exactly is a for loop, how we use for loop, and what is the purpose of loops inside programming. For loop is fundamentally one of the most powerful and strongest and most commonly loop in Java. And it has a very weird syntax, but we will break it down into step by step how exactly loop is working and each steps of how the cycle is actually repeating itself. So we're going to talk about loops. If you're here for the first time, please do know that I am making a complete series of Java. This is a Java programming for beginners course where I have talked already about all these topics one by one in each individual video in discussing in detail how Java is working for an absolute beginner. So if you're a beginner learning Java, this series is like a gold mine for you. So don't forget to subscribe, leave your comments, leave your love. So let me, the encouragement is quite important. It keeps and motivates us to keep making more videos. So do leave a comment and let's learn Java for loop in today's session. Let's begin. And then we're going to do more real world examples using some of my tasks so we can understand how they work. And I'm going to show you input mechanism as well. So talking about for loop. Now again, for loop is exactly same as while and do while in terms of its basic logic. It allows us to repeat its statements multiple number of times. However, the syntax is completely different. And for honestly is one of the most commonly used loops. If I'm personally using it, I always prefer for loop over while and do while. But then again, every programmer has his own choice and usually how they go. Most programmers do tend to prefer for loop. In my understanding, again, depends on that. And it's your own habit as you start working in programming, whatever loop you prefer, you can go with it. Anyway, now the basic purpose is again same, repeat the number code as long as the condition is satisfied. But here's the trick. See this, it says for, again, before I go further, do remember while and do while, these words are also reserved words and keywords. So do is a reserved word, keyword. You cannot use it as a variable name, as a class name, as a method name. Same goes for the while as well. You cannot use it as a keyword, as a reserved word. It's a keyword, is a reserved word. You cannot use it as a variable name and so on and so forth. Same goes for the for as well. So the for itself is again a keyword reserved by Java itself. So you cannot use for as a variable name, as a class name, as a method name. Capish? Moving forward. For again has a bracket start, bracket close. Within it, it does not say conditions now. It says statement 1, it says statement 2, statement 3. Statement 1 ends with a semicolon, statement 2 ends with a semicolon, and the statement 3 has no semicolon for whatever reason. Okay, so these are three statements that we can write inside the for loop. And then the block that we specify is what gets executed again and again repetitively until a condition is satisfied. Now, how does they work? Well, the first thing to keep in mind is the statement 1 will always execute only one time. That's it. Kipish. For the first time, whenever we execute the for loop, this statement will get executed. It will only execute one time. The statement 2 and statement 3 will keep on executing multiple times as long as a condition is satisfied. Typically, 99% of time, you would find that statement 2 is where we write our condition. And then statement 3 is where we do our increment. So here's a typical commonly used structure of for loop. Okay, so what we do is most commonly, okay, we write a for, we say integer I is equals to 0. So now note, this is actually a statement. By statement means any legal Java statement can be written here for that matter. Yes. So any legal Java statement can be written here. Keep a keen eye on this word. What do we mean by that? We mean by that is that I can write integer I is equals to 0 inside the for loop using limited with the semicolon. Then we have I is equals to I less than 5. So here comes our condition. So as I said, at the middle part, most commonly 99% you would see that we write the conditional statements here, and then semicolon, again separated by semicolon, and then finally this third part is where the increment is done. This is a typical structure of for loop used in C++, in C, in Java, I believe in Python and other languages as well. Okay, so now, and what if the condition becomes true, the block gets executed. If the condition is false, it comes out. That's how it basically works. So in while loop or in do while, when we used our statements, if I come back to my while loop code or do while, so in do while node, we did initialization was done before the loop. Then there was increment inside the loop body and the condition was there. If I go inside while, again the same structure. Initialization done before the loop, condition with the loop syntax in the middle, and then the increment in the body of the code. Okay, so if you have this structure in mind, same goes for the for loop as well. Initialization done first, then this in condition, and then the increment. That's how the structure works. So the syntax is just quite shuffled around, but the basic logic remains exactly same. Initialization, again, because this is the first part, only execute once. Because even in the while, this will only execute one time. If you take do while, initialization only is done with the one time. So that's why the Java developers very keenly have developed this, that hey, just make sure that it executes one time. Then condition is evaluated again and again until a condition is satisfied, which is the second part. Same goes with the while. In while, we write the condition statement within the while loop syntax. Okay, here we write inside as a second part of the syntax. And then we do the increment, which again gets executed again and again until a condition is satisfied. And the block of the code actually contains the code that you want to execute. So this actually puts a very nice perspective into a order of a looping statement. That's why I say for loop is executed multiple number of times and it executes. But now here's a catch. Okay, uh, here's the catch. Catch is that, remember we discussed that I can declare a multiple variables in Java like this as well. Or if I put it in perspective, integer, a is equals to 0, comma b is equals to, for example, 9, c is equals to 10, semicolon. So now this means that we have declared three variables, or multi-variable declaration has been done on the same variable line. We can do exactly that in here as well, because it doesn't say that it has to be initialization. It says this is an what we call statement. So any legal statement technically can go here. For that matter of speaking, if I'm not to over push it, but we can write system.out.println in these statements here as well. Initli, initialize. Okay, and as long as I have declared my variable integer I, for example, integer I is equals to 0 somewhere above, this would also work perfectly fine. So even though this is a for loop, what if I write system.out.println here? What should happen now? If I run the code, because it says that, hey, it requires any legal statement, this technically is a legal statement. And so this statement will also get executed one time. Capiche? See, that's the magic part. So even we can write this here as well. But then again, we need to ensure that we have a way of stopping the for loop. Otherwise, again, it will be an infinite loop. So this is typically where our condition would go, and this is where we technically do increment. Or here again, I can write system.out.println, and then I can say increment. Now what should happen? Okay, so if you zoop it here, so see this, we have condition statement in the middle, and then system.out.println here, and I do increment. Now if I execute this code, what will be the output? The output would be that we would still see initialize for the one time, because this part always gets executed for the one time. And then we say I is less than equals to 5, condition is true, it will go and print the value first. So see this, I has been printed first, this word has not been printed. So it says initialize and then 0. And then it goes and prints the increment. So this is very interesting. Why did that happen? Why was this not statement executed after initialization? This is very, 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 very important aspect of for loop. And this is what sometimes confuses it. Now, let me write down here. Basically, loop structure, right? Or loop cycle, as we usually call it, CYCLE, loop cycle. Here's what happens. The first time the loop executes, okay, step 1, let's say execute the part 1. If you're calling this the part 1, which typically basically means initli, initialize variable. Okay, then in second step we say step 2, it checks condition. Okay, with CUNDITIUN condition, which basically is like part 2, the center middle part. Then it says go into the third part, execute the body of loop. Okay, which is actually the block in block. Okay, so if I just write a block of code, makes sense. Then in fourth step, it goes now execute increment part 3 of loop. So part 1 is executed first only once. Again, this is executed only once. Oops. So this is only part 1. This executes for the first time. So every time this will execute first. Then condition is evaluated. If the condition becomes true, it executes the body of the code. So this block of code gets executed. That's why we say that we read the word initialize. Then we see this output here. 0 is printed here. The word increment is not printed immediately after initialize, because after evaluating the condition, the control does not go here. The control skips this part and then goes back here and executes this block statement system.out.println, and 0 gets printed. Then it goes back. Now once we go back, it executes this part as a third step. After completing the block, when this block of code execution is complete, then it goes back here. Now it does the increment, and now we see this increment statement being printed. After this increment statement, what happens now is the step 5 is to repeat from step 2. Wakash. Now this is what happens. So the step 5 is repeat step number 2. So again, after doing the increment, which is this third part, the control goes back to step number 2, the second part. The second part is executed. The first part got skipped, no longer needed, no longer executed. So it again goes into step 2, which is check the condition. If the condition is true, jump back to the block of code, execute the block. After the block is executed, go back and execute the increment part. Once the increment part is done, it does the increment printing, then go back, check the condition again, execute the block, do the increment part, check the condition, execute the block. So the order is completely reversed in while loop, or the way it executes is actually reversed the way we write it. So writing is completely different as the execution is. Okay, now do also note here that actually this is an infinite loop. The value is always printing 0 0 0 0. Why? Because we have not done any increment, we have not changed the value of I. That's why we say it's very crucial that you understand that the condition needs to ensure that at a certain point this condition becomes false. Otherwise you end up repeating your code infinite times, a loop of death as we call them, or loop of doom. So we can do simply is, if you just still want to stick with it, hey, what happened, oops. So if you want to make sure the code does not repeat itself, we can do increment here as well. Okay. So once you do the increment here, now it would ensure that our code, and again, it will have billions of errors because all of this. So we can easily avoid this by using multi-line comment, and capiche, we write this thing here at the end, static backslash. So this will make sure that all this is commented out, and now we have a loop. So if you want to learn this, do take a screenshot of it and keep it with you, because I'm not sharing with you. Now, I hope this explains everything. That's the best way I can explain. So this is for loop, and another thing is it gives you some other examples as well. So we can do increments in a different way. So initialize, less than condition. Similarly, we can write this statement as well. I is equal to I plus 2. So this means that now it will do an increment of 2. Every time it runs, there's 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay, so if your condition requires you that, hey, you're only supposed to increment in even numbers and print the value if it's an even number, you can very simply say start from 0 and do I plus 2, which basically means that add I plus 2. Or in a simple sense, I can write plus equals to 2, which is shorthand for 2. Okay, same thing. So take the value of I, add 2 and assign it back to I. So we can use this as well. So because, as I said, this requires a legal statement. So any legal statement, any multiplication, the way if you want to change it, you can write any statement here. No problem with that. Okay. So this is basically what loop is. Now let's talk more about nested loops. Okay, so this concludes today's session, Java for Loops. It has been a wonderful, all these days. We have talked about so many things in few past days, and today for loop was again a very interesting aspect of Java programming language. So I hope you understand it. Let me know in the comments if you have completed the session, and tomorrow we're going to delve more into other concepts such as break and continue and few other things with examples as well. So up till the next video, this is Dr. Zeeshan signing off.